Hi, I'm State Representative Ross Hunter. I represent the 48th Legislative District, which is parts of Bellevue, Kirkland, Redmond, all of the Points communities, and a tiny little bit of Issaquah. When I first ran for office in 2002, I had two things at the top of my agenda. And the first was I wanted to rewrite how school funding worked. The second big thing, and people were working on this for a decade before I got into the legislature, is the 520 bridge. We've finally come up with a preferred design alternative. We've resolved all of the hard problems about what the design looks like. We have a funding plan in place for about half to two-thirds of the bridge construction. And we have largely gotten acceptance from all parties concerned except for a couple of neighborhoods in Seattle. And I'm not convinced they're ever actually going to be happy. We will be building this bridge. We will start next year with construction on the east side phases, and those are funded. So what you're seeing here is the intersection of 108th and Northup Way, where people get off 520 in order to go to the South Kirkland Park and Ride. And one of the big changes that we're going to get with this new project is that we're going to have direct access from the inside, which is where the HOV and transit lanes are going to be, directly to the Park and Ride without having to go through lights, without having to merge across traffic. And this is the kind of smart change to 520 that is going to shave 40 minutes off the one-way trip from Redmond to Seattle in the afternoon rush hour. Here we've got 520 heading westbound in the early afternoon, so you can see the traffic's actually flowing freely. But you all know what this looks like later in the afternoon. Here we're going to see the width a little bit wider, and you're going to see the HOV and the transit lanes in the middle so that they have a straight shot and they don't have to deal with the people merging in and out. So you won't get that car merging through the HOV lane. So again, we'll make the buses go faster, the HOV lane will go faster, and the GP lanes will go faster too, because we won't have all this merging going on. I think the throughput improvements are pretty important in what we're doing here. Here we are on the 92nd Street overpass over 520, and you can see that we have a bus stop here. And again, when we talk about the configuration change with the HOV and transit lanes in the middle, we'll switch to actually having a flyer stop here and actually having a fair amount of lid over the freeway here, at least 500 feet, which will turn into new usable space for the community. Will have a good positive impact on dampening down the sound. Will also allow the buses to be much more efficient in peeling off, picking up passengers, dropping off, and then going back. So here we're looking westbound at the actual point of entry where we're going onto the floating part, the transition from the East Side project to the Lake Washington project. You can see the tolling gantry, and that's going to be temporary for the next couple years, because as we build the bridge, we're going to build it about 200 feet further north, and that'll enable us to build the new bridge across the lake, avoid the little S-turn that you can see in the distance there, and be able to use the existing bridge while we're constructing the new bridge. I think that's actually a pretty important thing to do, so that we're not down for 3 years. They've already purchased, the Department of Transportation has purchased some of the houses in here to the right of the road to the north. Behind us, again, you can see the traffic volume picking up as we get later in the afternoon. You can see the transit stop there, and that will become a flyer stop in the middle of the road rather than off to the side, again, to make the transit connection more efficient, to save a lot of time going back across the traffic in and out. Here we'll also have a pretty wide lid, so you won't just have this little bridge, you'll actually have more passive park space where we are. And this is Evergreen Point Road, the last of the bridges crossing 520 before you get out to the lake. We will start next year with construction on the east side phases, and those are funded. Big, big deal, very hard to get done. There were a lot of interests that really didn't want to have this bridge happen, and the entire east side delegation worked together to make it happen. I'm incredibly proud of the work that we did, and I'll be very pleased in 2014 when the new bridge opens. I'm always willing to answer your questions. Love to hear from you. My email address is hunter.ross@leg.wa.gov, and it's probably appearing on the screen right now. And again, I'd love to get your questions, your feedback on where we should go next year and how we'll continue to work our way out of this economic development problem.